Hello again to all my Kameruka cricket buddies. I suppose you've all on your wheelchairs and crutches and wherever you're having your reunion, and maybe by now you're well lubricated. You've been talking about all the heroics and all the amazing things we used to do on the cricket field. But anyway, you guessed it, I'm in Scotland. And I found the cap in a cupboard. Isn't that amazing? So, in the honour of this night of celebration, I'm wearing the old Kameruka baggy green. Um, I suppose I should. I know you've been sharing a lot of cricketing memories. There are so many. There are so many. I really loved playing with you guys because it was so relaxed. We played hard on the field, but I loved the afternoon teas and the cold beer in the end of a hot day at Kameruka under that big gum tree. That was just fantastic. So some of the best days ever we had on that cricket field. I'll just share two of my best actual cricketing memories. And Mick, I hope you don't mind. They both involve you. The first one was, and I can still picture this clear as day. Um, John Deadman was facing Mick at Kameruka. Now, John was a really good batsman. And Mick, you went in, you bowled this amazing in swinger. It landed just on the edge of the pitch, well outside off stump. John put his one of his long legs right next to the bounce of the ball, raised his bat, and the ball swung so much it just took his off stump. That was just one of the best balls I've ever witnessed. So well done, Mick. And the other one, unfortunately, was, and this is now in Kameruka. It's in the archives. This moment because we went from being wooden spooners to playing Angledale in the final. If we'd have won this game, we would have gone to the grand final. And of course, and I know you all remember this quite clearly. And we were doing so well. We needed one wicket, and they needed one run. And I remember again, Mick, you had taken absolute screamer of a catch in the covers, and I was in slips, and we had a bit of an umbrella field. I moved myself back to fly slip, and I thought I better put Mick into slip because the catch could come there. We want somebody really good, and you all know what happened. Poor Mick, it came to you, and you didn't hang on to it. Just one of those things, but it's still a great memory. If you'd have caught it and we'd lost a grand final, it wouldn't have been such a good story. So, no, it's a great memory. Um, and the other thing for me personally was it took me 30 years to get my 100 a ton. Unlike Bob or Nico, who made it batting look easy, I had to work really hard at my batting. So it was such a joy to do that. But do you all remember? Do any of you remember my skinny bat idea? Because I still attribute my 100 very much to that. The theory that this is that Don Bradman used to hit a golf ball with a stump. Well, my skinny bat was going to train my muscle memory into having a smaller area to hit with the bat. Anyway, I still think it's valid. So it's all too late for you blokes, of course, or you old codgers. Anyway, there were so many good memories, and I'm sure you've been sharing a lot of those on the night. In case you're wondering, what have I been doing over the last 30 years? Just some of the highlights. At one point, I moved to Canberra. I was the CEO of Revolve, a recycling company. Are you there, Rod Irving? Rod can tell you a little bit about that. That was an interesting challenge. I worked up in Arnhem Land for the Australian government, working with the Yolngu people. That was just a wonderful experience. I had so many powerful memories of sitting in the sand with Aboriginal elders and just looking at the problems that they had and were their ways of solving them. Anyway, I've also lived in Scotland a couple of times now for 3 years for one period, and I had some government funded consultancies, which were interesting. And but my best job was I was a friend of mine owned, two friends owned an office block, a 5-story building. It's in a very old part of Glasgow, and I got the job of fixing the double glazed windows. They're little tiny panels, and I was abseiling down the five-story building and doing some repairs. Probably broke a lot of industrial rules, but hey, it was good fun. And another highlight, again, it's a long story, but the short story is I bought a yacht, an old yacht in San Francisco. It's going to sail it back to Australia and make a profit out of it. For there again, it's a long story, but I ended up sailing down the west coast of the US down to San Diego, and not actually ending up sailing. I couldn't get crew. Um, and it was too risky to sail on my own. So sold the yacht in San Diego, and for a short while, I worked for Alexandra Seddon at the zoo. Alan can tell you a bit about that. That was good fun. I was doing a bit of maintenance there before going back to Scotland to marry the lovely Claire, and that was in 2007. So we lived near Coffs Harbour for about 8 years, and in that time, obviously, did a lot of surfing, but played Crodger cricket for an over 60s cricket for the Coffs Harbour guys, and that was good fun. Although a lot of blokes took it a little bit too seriously. Hey, we're over 60. It was time to be a bit more like you Kameruka or us Kameruka blokes. Be a little bit more relaxed about it. I've renovated a few houses, but probably the most interesting thing, my next best sport. I can't say it's my best sport. Obviously, you're all cricketers. Cricket's the best sport, right? Was paragliding. Now, I took up paragliding for a 14-year period in amongst doing the other stuff. Now, Alan Morgan, I'm sure, Alan, you're there. You can explain to them a little bit more about paragliding. Alan and I went to the same course, and yeah, Alan's near-death experience, I think, encouraged him not to continue with the sport. Anyway, one of the interesting things. Well, let me describe it. If you can imagine, you're sitting in a canvas armchair and you're floating under the clouds with a cloth wing that weighs 7 kilos. Your whole wing only weighs 7 kilos, and you could carry it around in a backpack, and you go flying cross country. It is a most amazing sport, and one of the things that a lot of the people there, one of the challenges was to try and fly 100 kilometres cross country. Now I never achieved that. Sadly, I only flew 64, so one of life's disappointments. But I did win, and it was a fluke, a competition. I used to go in competitions around the country, and in this, I was competing against the US champion and the whole Australian team. An absolute fluke because these guys were just amazing pilots, but I just happened to choose a different path to these blokes. Anyway, I'm back in Scotland again. I'm renovating another house, um, just living the dream. And again, enjoy the reunion, guys. Wish I was there. Hope to see you all one day. Have a drink for me. And if I had a glass now, I'd toast you all. So thanks for those great memories all those years ago, over 30 years ago now, isn't it? As we all toiled for Kameruka Cricket Club. Bye.